so much for joining me on Being Indispensable. My name's Liz Van Vliet. We're all dispensable. I know that better than anyone. I'm a breast cancer survivor. But that doesn't mean that we can't invest in ourselves to improve the skills and capabilities that are going to help us stand out and be perceived as indispensable. Being indispensable is also about the being side of the equation. Because if we're not looking after ourselves and our own well-being, then we have no hope of showing up as indispensable in the workplace. Well, hello, lovely listeners. Welcome to episode 84 of Being Indispensable. And yes, you will have noticed that there has been a little bit of a gap between episode 83 and 84. What can I say? I was having far too good a time on my extended Festival of 50 break, and basically I went into a stage of feeling like everything I wanted to say was actually relating to my holiday. And I thought, you know what, that would be very selfish of me just to put out podcast episode after podcast episode raving on and on about what a great time I was having. So I decided I'd just park the podcast while I was away on my holiday and wait until I came back. And as you would expect, coming back after an extended holiday, things have been a bit crazy. So that does not mean that I have not been focused and noticing and watching and reading all of the various assistant content that's out there from a whole host of people who post regularly on the topic of executive assistant skills and capabilities. And I have really enjoyed reading that and getting a little flavour of what other people are contributing out there in the world of information and self-development for assistants. But I decided it was about time I got my act together and released some new podcast episodes. And so I'm pleased to tell you that today is the first in a small series that I'm going to be releasing that are all focused on my favourite topic, which is power skills. Now, if you've not heard me talk about power skills before, let me give you a little rundown. Power skills is a term that I have coined, but I didn't invent it. It was actually invented by a US college vice chancellor as a way of describing those soft skills that really are misrepresented by the term soft. So rather than call them soft skills, he actually described them as power skills. And I'm going to take a leaf out of his book because I have decided that these are the skills that I'm going to focus on for this series of episodes that I'm going to be releasing. So I'm going to chuck out the window my usual bi-weekly episode, and then the following week an episode about indispensable skills. Almost didn't get that word out, indispensable skills. And I'm going to focus for this next series on power skills. So I'm going to be talking about what are your power skills and why are they essential to being perceived as an indispensable assistant. And this is something that I believe very strongly based on the experience that I had in the role of an executive assistant. However brief it was, I still saw that acutely, that need to have these well-developed power skills. And then also in the, 3 years almost that I have been in the executive assistant environment, coaching and training executive assistants, the theme that comes across continually to me very strongly is that you can be very highly proficient in functional skills in terms of your capabilities. And you can even be what I describe as a great cheerleader when it comes to being a great supporter for your executive and having, highly attuned strategic understanding of the politics and the machinations that are going on in the organisation that your executive is confronting and needing to manage. But if you do not have these highly developed power skills, you will not be a power assistant and you will not be perceived as indispensable. You will have a major gap in your little kit bag and your arsenal of skills. So this next series is going to be about what these power skills are that I think are important, why they're important to being perceived as an indispensable assistant. So to give you a flavour for what I'm going to be talking about, it's basically going to revolve around the whole concept of in order to be effective and be able to execute as an indispensable assistant, you have to be able to influence without formal authority, or what's called positional authority. And I've talked about that in previous podcasts. And it's the concept of, as an executive assistant, you have authority based on the position of your executive or the leader that you're working for, but you personally don't have any ability to hire and fire, for example. So you have no positional authority. Apologies, that was my phone giving me a news flash from the lovely BBC. Anyway, back to the podcast. So influencing without authority requires you to manage up, manage across, manage down, and use your influence rather than any positional authority that you might feel that you have by association with your executive. It requires you to manage conflict, to manage conflicting priorities, and to manage conflicting personalities. It requires you to manage difficult conversations, which I talk about a lot in how to do that in this podcast in previous episodes. So, if we think about our power skills, they're not going to be new to you in terms of the broad umbrella terms that I'm going to be talking about. But I want you to come away from this series really understanding that they are your power skills. And, effectively, I found a great image to use on social media. It's the classic superhero cape. And it's really important that I make the distinction here between power being used in the sense of you exerting power and, dominating, seeking to dominate or seeking to control other people in a negative way. I'm talking about power in terms of exerting your authority in a positive way, in an effective way. So I'm not talking about, some sort of stereotypical power assistant who goes around throwing their weight around and making other people feel that it's their way or the highway. That's not it at all. I'm talking about power in its most, benevolent sense. Let's put it that way. That it's being used to create good, not evil, so to speak. So these episodes are going to be all around the various power skills that I think are essential to you being perceived as indispensable and a safe pair of hands, not just for your leader, but within your organisation, so that you're perceived by the people that you are interacting with, the important stakeholders, peers, other managers, external parties, as somebody that is managing with authority and using these power skills to really be the best that you can be. So, I'm really looking forward to bringing this series of episodes to you. This is an introduction, obviously, so I hope you're feeling excited about these upcoming episodes. They're going to be coming out weekly, and I'm going to, there'll probably be about, I'd say this will be a series of about 6 episodes. So you can look forward to those. They're going to be short and sweet, in the sense that they're going to give you real tactical things that you can go away and execute and focus on. They are going to be bringing out some themes that have already been explored in other episodes that I've already released. So when I release the episodes, I will in the show notes be referencing other episodes that you can go and listen to that are going to focus on those specific power skills that I'm discussing. And as you would expect, I'm going to be kicking off the series next week with my first episode talking about communication skills. And we're going to focus, we're probably going to have a couple of episodes focusing on communication skills in all of their glory, because it is such an important power skill for you to be able to really hone and develop as an assistant. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I hope you are looking forward to this series that I'm going to be bringing you. I'm certainly looking forward to bringing it to you, and I'm really looking forward to getting your feedback on it. So feel free to drop me a line, either via the liz@beingindispensable.com or via LinkedIn or whatever social channel we connect on, because I love getting feedback and hearing what your thoughts are on the content that I'm sharing. Thanks for listening and have a great week. Thanks for listening to today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to see the show notes, head over to my website. It would be great if you haven't already done so. If you enjoyed the show, if you could kindly go to iTunes and leave a review. It helps other people find the show. Thanks for listening and have a great week.